Friends, ladies and gentlemen, hello. It's lunchtime. People are going to grab something to eat. I hope that those who remain for the presentation will still have some food left after that. We'll try to make sure it is like that. We'll see what is happening. Last year, at the same conference, I was sharing the achievements that was in the previous year, and today I'm going to talk about 2025 and our plans for the future. Everything is going according to the plan. My presentation is has three parts. First of all, how AI is changing the market, how GenAI transforming Sber, and what is the new model of work that we're going to implement next year. Now, Sam Altman, our favorite guy in 2024, forecasted that we will see companies with like 10 people with a 1 billion valuation, and he was correct. Many companies like that, unicorns. You can see there are some solo startups that got 8 employees, but then they were buying the startup. Then when the startup was acquired, there was just one person there. So yes, AI startups become unicorns, and if before startups had to have an entire team to deliver, now it's not needed. So now wipe coding is used by startups using prototypes, or our gigacode in agent mode. And for startup, it's enough. I mean, you need a team to move forward, but for a startup, that's enough. Leaders are going to GenAI-by-Default. They stop hiring people that cannot use AI at work. They assess the employees who can adapt to the AI era, and those who cannot, the latter got fired. Obviously, the capability of using AI is the same as 30 years ago was. There was a requirement to know how to use Windows and Microsoft Office. So it's the same with AI, and I think that next year it will be the same for us in terms of our hiring policy. Now, the autonomous nature is growing rapidly. GenAI in many processes is working in autonomous mode. In November, we had the first autonomous developments in production. That means that the Jira tasks are executed by the GenAI network, given as a pull request to the developer. If the developer approves it, it goes back. Obviously, there's not a lot of tasks like that. We target small tasks right now, but as the systems grow their capabilities, the number of these tasks grow. What are we doing under the hood? A year ago, I showed that, but we are going from AI-assisted to AI-driven development. When code is created in gigacode in a special window, it's somewhere here, but when the autonomous network is resolving your pull request and improving the code, it's somewhere here. By the end of the year, the majority of our team will be here still. The number of automated tasks is small. We started in November. The second part of December, we're going to have a freeze, obviously, like many of you. But next year, we're going to have a major leap forward. Now, there are many challenges, and what are they? First of all, the efficiency depends on the quality of the data and the quick access to them. We created a system for automatic resolution of the defects. Developers cannot describe the defect. Usually it's just a screenshot, and you cannot understand what is the defect about from description. AI cannot work out these defects. On the other hand, when developers see when AI can resolve the problem, resolve the task, they start to describe it differently, and then the tasks can be resolved, can be corrected by AI, and many know that GenAI transformation has been actually implemented in Sber, hundreds of agents in production, and we're developing many of them right now. How are we going to control the landscape and the stability? We have the requirements for the stability of the agents. We can share them, by the way. We think that if we follow this standard when we develop an agent, then we will be able to properly manage the production. What do we do? More than 60 agents are being developed in the technology block. There are around 900 agents right now in the bank. Basically, right now, we are rethinking everything we do. We're getting our key processes and life situations, and we see how can we reinvent them with agents. Obviously, we are on the early stages of GenAI transformation, the same as with the early stages of the digital transformation that we experienced 20 years ago. It's not a transformation, it's a number of initiatives on digitization and basically migration to AI that... with these initiatives being implemented, we will be able to make a qualitative leap forward to ensure the autonomous development of software. The key is that the software development for us is, we call it AI PDLC, product development lifecycle. There are 30 agents here spread across the entire cycle of development of features and software, and everyone has to be monitored because the synergy is very high. If the better the analytics, the better the the more autonomous are the other stages, like the development and tests. And it's important to work on all agents. The main question for every IT expert: what will happen with the IT world? Will the IT personnel be laid off, and maybe all the developers will be replaced by AI? We believe in two things. The first one is written here. We understand that in the era of this radical transformation, we start to look at meta skills. We understand that soft skills and hard skills determine who you are, but in the age of such breakneck speed changes, it's the meta skill that is important. System thinking. How quickly can you learn and transform and adapt? These are the keys. These meta skills are the key for the person and for the teams, because you cannot even imagine what processes will look like in the next 3-4 years. You cannot know what soft skills and hard skills will be important. For soft skills, it might be possible, but there are no hard skills that you can predict that will not be redundant in 2028. You do not have technologies like now, but what can you focus on now? Meta skills. So the second thing we believe in is that the developers have to write code, but the growth of the manual development will be almost zero, but the autonomous development done by multi-agent system or agent systems will grow exponentially. The man in the loop obviously will control everything, but gradually they will give more freedom to the multi-agent systems to develop software. What is happening in our case? The key flagship product is GigaCode. We are talking about that a lot. It's, by the way, available for free as well. You can leverage that. So we're using it in the team. More than 16,500 developers use it. Not only developers, by the way. We had a revelation that analysts use it because, often analysts cannot describe a separate increment properly, and when there is a new task for an analyst, it's hard for them to understand what is already there or not. They just load code in GigaCode and ask it to convert it into business requirements or analytics, and they work with it further on down the road. The same with the testers. They load a model, they ask to write test cases, and the test cases are being generated by AI. So GigaCode is not just about code. Far from it. The process of developing this software is very slow and very gradual. As you can see, the AI-generated code is not growing really quickly. Last year, when I was presenting on this stage, it was only 25% of the code that was AI-generated and then accepted by the team. That means that the 75% of the code was not satisfactory for the team. Now we have 55%. In November, we launched a GigaCode. It has a multi-agent environment and the automatic execution. And there, the validators, the developers, the controllers and validators together cooperate with each other and deliver end-to-end tasks in terms of creating a multifunctional model. And this system helps us to ensure the autonomous delivery of the tasks. The tasks are not complicated. That's understandable. We are talking about the CodeChat 235B model. So it does affect the multi-agent execution environment. If you look at scenario, in some case, in some sense, it was a discovery. Many years ago, we were talking that we're going to the diverse teams. We used to have like a developer, a UX designer, and other things. Now, every role is not just a solo developer, but it's a kind of a team lead of a senior developer that has an unlimited number of junior developers. And these junior developers are these multi-agent systems. And here, many rules are in place. Obviously, you cannot put a difficult task for a junior employee. You cannot just put a difficult task for them and to ask them to work out a difficult issue.
But the developers that take this, that go the extra mile and gain these skills of managing Junes, they do achieve these results. They take a big task and they decompose it into smaller tasks that AI can digest. These tasks do have do necessitate a certain mental sequence of steps to achieve the goal, but it does give you fantastic results. What we see, how can we measure the extent to which we are using this at Sber? Tokens, obviously. These are the tokens that the developers have been using, just the developers. The popularity, the productivity has grown almost 15-fold this year. Another interesting study that we conducted just recently, the impact on developers. Our developers that daily use GigaCode were compared with the developers that we also have that do not use GigaCode at all. The interesting finding was that those that use GigaCode all the time have 60% more code commits than those who do not use GigaCode. So it does make sense to count on the people who have these skills to adapt fast to the emerging technology. We do not stop there. We are bringing all of our products to the market, very often completely free of charge. So I encourage all of you to give them a try. Gitverse is the most popular Russian equivalent of GitHub that we're developing, once again, free of charge. It has all of the autonomous development products that I mentioned. We understand that it's not the time to try to make profit from each other. We are striving at technological sovereignty, so we need to try to develop technology together rather than just swallow a bigger share of the pie. Another interesting finding, as a technology block, we are also responsible for the operational activity of the bank, and for us in our work, it is important to not just develop agents for development and other things. At the bank, we want to automate all kinds of operations. And we are aiming to create this digital employee. This is something that will completely change the operational model as it is. We used to issue guidelines for people that use AI as a tool. Now we have automated systems that can do things entirely autonomously, and a human being becomes a buddy, so to speak, for such an AS. We see a fertile ground, fertile soil for implementation for processes that can be easily done by AI. 40% of tasks that we couldn't automate earlier are now automated. We see significant acceleration, and the promise is that the acceleration will only continue, will only increase. 80% of those who developed and implemented agents know that there is a major barrier. Developing an agent that does something and is an MVP is something you can do in a day or even a couple of hours. You write a few prompts and they have the agent. But to achieve the 80% quality alignment with what a human being can do, an expert can do, this is something that is a completely different task. And in that way, it differs from what we had before. Before, we used to have to code for a very long time, but when we did an MVP, it was not that far from the ultimate goal. Now it's different. You can do an MVP in a day, but there is a huge distance from an MVP to the ultimate result, and you need a lot of skills to achieve it. A few words about the new model of work. As we see it, we see that we are building this organized communication between autonomous agents and people in performing different tasks. We're shifting towards mixed teams, meaning agents and people use the same corporate messenger, for example, Sberchat. People and agents are assigned tasks from Jira. They publish the outcomes there in Jira as well. They publish the code in our repository, both agents and people. So in that way, the activities of an agent in terms of digital artifacts is becoming very similar to what people do, and we are shifting in that direction purposefully. We see that this is the same direction that the global community is adopting. The US primarily, because they are creating similar systems for work. A very simple example, not many people think about this and are very cautious in approaching this. Automated support, seemingly this is something that you need to delegate to agents last, but that's not the case. That's not our case, at least. The IT landscape of Sber is probably the biggest in the country, and we have a lot of people engaged in support. When an incident occurs, you can preliminarily process it autonomously, almost 90% autonomously. And for 60% of incidents, you do not have to involve a human being at all. So once an incident occurs, agents can immediately identify vulnerabilities in the landscape. They can analyze precedents, similar incidents, what were the response measures to previous incidents, and they will engage a human being only after they have done all their preparatory work. And on top of that, it only takes a few minutes. Now, to respond to an incident in a non-automated mode, you need to engage a specialist, a high-skilled specialist, and then you need dozens and dozens of minutes to analyze and respond. And at night it's even worse. So if you have an approach like this, it's very difficult to automate these things. But once you've done it, it significantly reduces the response time and the time that is needed to provide options to a human response team. And in the minutes that I have left, I suggest a quick poll. I'm very interested in what you think, what we can do together, not just Sber, not just myself. I promise next year at the next conference we will give you an update of what we have done and what are our plans for 2027, what are our facts and figures and results, what we're ready to share. But I would like to hear from you. Which share of your operations you are ready to delegate right now to agents, provided that you trust those agents. Let's say you have a team or you're a member of this strong team. You have an agent. And very often you do need to involve a human being to achieve the 80% quality threshold. So which portion of your work you can delegate to agents? Let's see how you're voting. 78 people have already voted. Thank you very much for being so active. Thank you for not opting for the coffee and cookies available outside the hall. Let's give it a round of applause. Thank you for your patience. I promise there will be enough cookies for everyone. Okay, so what are the results? 30%, 38% believe that up to 50% of their work can be delegated. 75% can be delegated to agents. 30% of you think so. So if I had to answer, I would choose something between 25 and 50% because we have highly critical systems, and if you involve an AI in highly critical systems, that would be a reason for concern. But up to 100% of work can be delegated to AI. That's what 2% of you answered. Those are surprising results. I did not expect that. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Thank you very much. Let's give another round of applause to Kirill Menshov. Kirill, please stay on the stage for just a little while. I have a few questions that I would like to ask you, and I'm sure the audience would like to ask you. What are the criteria that allow us to determine that an AI is truly AI-driven and is not just using AI for localized, targeted things? So for me, the definition is this. There is AI native and there is AI driven. I think it's easier to first say what is AI native. And my answer is the same as the answer I had for digital native organizations. Digital native organizations are organizations that cannot exist with comparable parameters without an AI. We do not have that many organizations of this kind. For example, Perplexity, if you remove AI from Perplexity, it will not be able to operate at all. Drawing an analogy with digital native organizations, Sber is a digital native organization, and God forbid something happens with the digital technology, we will not be able to service all of our customers. We do not have enough brick-and-mortar branches. We will not be able to operate without the digital. We will not be able to service payments or cash collection. We will not be able to accept digital payments. So this is a digital native organization. Same goes for a GenAI native organization. This is something that we are shifting towards. There are things from which we can remove agents, but then at some point, if we remove all of them, the entire business will come to a screeching halt. So an AI-driven, for me, this is something different. This means the extent to which AI is driving your process versus a human being. The clearest example is Yandex Taxi. So on one hand, you have this taxi driver that is driving you somewhere, but it's not the driver that decides whether they will pick you up or drive you someplace. This is what AI decides. So it's an AI-driven process. And we are doing something similar in development. We have a buddy/mentor, mentoring leads and developers in terms of which task to embark on. But it's not the same as Yandex Taxi still. So in terms of AI-driven, we are not an AI-driven organization yet. We're just moving towards it. Let's take a step beyond this. What are the technologies that you believe are the most significant other than GenAI? Well, it's very difficult to say. We have just embarked on working with GenAI, and just this year we got the first multi-agent systems that can perform different tasks well. AGI is still something that we are working on, and there are different forecasts as to when we can achieve it. Maybe that this is feasible by 2030, but still this will radically change the landscape. I'm very interested in seeing how. Given that AI will start to get more and more involved in research and science, I think we can expect a lot of scientific breakthroughs that people will do thanks to AI. I'm very curious about this. Thank you very much. That's why we are organizing these conferences, to look beyond the horizon, to try to predict certain things. Kirill Menshov, your applause for Kirill. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.